Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today into the world of goal setting.
Really diving into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, none of that surface level stuff you hear everywhere else.
Right.
We're going deep.
It's easy to think you understand it.
Yeah,
But the real magic is in those nuances, right? The psychology behind it all.
totally. And luckily, we've got Brian Tracy's work to guide us.
Yeah, you sent over some fascinating stuff from one of his psychology courses.
Yeah.
And it really changed how I think about success.
It really makes you think differently, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He's basically saying that setting goals isn't just some self-help buzzword.
Mm-hmm.
It's the engine that drives achievement.
It is the engine.
Everything else is just kind of secondary.
Yeah, it's amazing how he breaks down success. You know, we often see success as this grand,
Almost mystical thing.
mystical thing into this simple equation. Success equals goals.
It makes you stop and think, right?
It does.
Like, it's not just something you hear all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the core of it.
It's the foundation.
So he talks about your brain having this incredible built-in guidance system,
Yes.
and he calls it the cybernetic goal-seeking mechanism.
Now, I know that sounds complex.
It sounds very complex when you say it like that. It
Oh,
caught my eye when I saw it in the material, too.
Yeah, for sure. But it's actually very simple.
Okay.
When you set these really clear and defined goals,
Yeah.
you're essentially programming your internal GPS.
Huh.
So you're telling your brain, this is where we're going.
Get me there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And your subconscious mind starts figuring out the best route to get there.
So if it's so simple, why aren't we all living our best lives?
Living the dream.
Exactly. But he says it's not about laziness.
No.
It's not that we're not motivated.
It's those psychological barriers
Yeah.
that we often unknowingly build.
And that we might not even be aware of.
Exactly. A lot of it comes from our upbringing and our environment.
Right.
So if we weren't exposed to goal setting early on,
Yeah.
we might not realize it's a thing.
Yeah, like it's a crucial tool that we need
Exactly.
to have success.
It's like that classic you don't know what you don't know situation.
And luckily,
Yes.
our listeners are already overcoming that first hurdle by listening.
Exactly. Recognizing the importance of it is the first step.
There you go.
And the research backs this up.
Does it?
Have you heard of that Yale study?
The one where they followed graduates to see who achieved the most success.
Yes, that's the one.
I've always been curious about that one.
Well, it turns out only 3% of those Yale graduates had actually written down goals for their future.
Wow.
And here's the kicker. That 3% ended up wealthier than the other 97% combined.
Really? Wow.
Yeah,
That's pretty compelling evidence.
it is.
So setting clear goals
Yeah,
can have a real impact on your life.
absolutely.
But knowing how important it is one thing.
It's different from actually doing it.
Right. Putting it into practice is a whole other thing.
And that's where Tracy's 5 keys to unlock your potential come in.
Okay.
They provide this practical framework for not just setting goals,
Yeah.
but for actually achieving them.
So these are like,
Think of them like a treasure map to success.
I like it.
Each key unlocks this new level of understanding and action.
I like it. So the first key he highlights is the power of a defined, definite purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, your North Star.
Your guiding light.
Right. It's about identifying that one overarching goal that gives your life direction and meaning.
It's about getting crystal clear on what you want to achieve with your life.
Yeah.
And this purpose should be something specific,
Well-
measurable,
Mm-hmm.
and most importantly, it should be deeply aligned with your values.
It's like that question. If you could only achieve one thing with your life, what would it be?
Exactly. And once you identify that purpose,
Right.
it's like this beacon that guides all your other decisions and actions.
Right.
This is where the other keys come into play, helping you break down that larger purpose into smaller, more manageable goals
Right.
that will ultimately lead you to your destination.
So you're taking that big,
Big, hairy, audacious.
overwhelming,
Yeah,
and making it into smaller steps.
exactly.
I can already see how this would be a game changer.
It is.
But let's be real for a second.
Okay.
Even when we recognize how important this is,
Mm-hmm.
actually doing it
Putting it into practice
is daunting.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
There's this fear of failure,
Of course.
this pressure to get it right.
You've hit on another crucial point. A lot of people shy away from goal setting
Because they're afraid.
because they're terrified of failing.
Yeah.
But what Tracy suggests is we actually reframe our perspective on failure entirely.
Oh, really?
He says, don't see it as a roadblock. See it as a stepping stone toward success.
Okay, so embrace the failure.
In a way, yes. he actually encourages us to increase our failure rate,
What?
which I know sounds counterintuitive.
It does.
But when you think about innovators like Thomas Edison,
Yeah.
who made thousands of attempts before perfecting the light bulb,
Right.
he didn't see those as failures.
Right. He saw them as...
He saw them as discovering thousands of ways that didn't work.
Right. It's part of the process.
Exactly.
So we're basically shifting our perspective to see those so-called failures as valuable feedback.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's about changing your mindset.
Yeah.
Instead of getting disheartened when things don't go as planned,
Yeah.
you look at it as an opportunity to learn and grow.
But how do we actually apply that?
Yeah.
You know, like how do we take that mindset and actually put it into practice?
One powerful technique Tracy emphasizes is the acres of diamonds principle.
Oh, yeah, that rings a bell.
Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I have, but
Little refresher.
a little reminder never hurts.
Exactly. It's all about seeing the potential in your current situation,
Okay.
even when things maybe aren't going your way.
So even when things feel stagnant or
Yeah.
like you're stuck, disappointing, or like you're not where you want to be yet.
Exactly, because sometimes the opportunities we're looking for are actually right in front of us.
Really?
Just disguised as hard work.
Oh.
Or maybe tasks that we don't find particularly interesting.
So it's about looking at those mundane things and being like, well, maybe there's something here.
Exactly. It's like that story of the farmer who sells his farm to go find diamonds.
Oh, yeah.
And then the new owner finds this massive diamond deposit right there on the land he just bought.
On the farm he sold.
Exactly.
Oh, my God.
The farmer was so focused on what he didn't have,
Yeah.
so fixated on this idea of, I need to go find diamonds somewhere else,
Yeah.
that he completely overlooked the treasure he already had
Wow.
in his own backyard.
That's a really good analogy.
It makes you think, right?
It does. What diamonds am I overlooking in my own life?
Exactly.
Because I'm so busy looking at other things.
Exactly. And sometimes those hidden diamonds are directly connected to our natural talents and passions.
Oh, okay.
What Tracy calls our area of excellence.
Our area of excellence.
He says that each of us possesses this unique zone where our skills and interests intersect.
Okay.
It's that space where we truly shine.
It's like finding your superpower.
Exactly. And the key is to identify that area
Right.
and then focus your energy there.
So how do we pinpoint that area? How do we know what that is?
It often starts with paying close attention to what you're naturally drawn to.
Okay.
What activities do you find yourself completely absorbed in?
What do you get lost in?
Yes. Where does the time go?
Right.
What subjects could you read about for hours and not even realize how much time has passed?
Yeah.
What comes easily to you, even if it's challenging for others?
Okay.
These are all clues pointing towards your area of excellence.
It's about tapping into what you're good at and what you enjoy.
Exactly. Because when you align your goals with your area of excellence,
Yeah.
with your natural talents and passions,
Uh-huh.
you unlock this level of motivation and fulfillment.
You're in flow.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
But even when we have all that passion and drive, it's important to make sure our goals are balanced.
Right. You can't just go full speed in one direction.
Exactly.
Right.
We need balance to create a truly fulfilling life.
One that nourishes you on all levels.
Precisely. Tracy emphasizes the importance of setting goals in 3 key areas.
Okay. What are they?
First, you've got your personal and family goals.
Okay.
Then there are your business and career goals.
Okay.
And finally, your self-improvement goals.
So it's about having a well-rounded approach.
Exactly.
It's like you're creating this recipe for a fulfilling life,
It is.
making sure you have all the ingredients for personal and professional growth.
You got it. You've got your personal and family goals that are nourishing your relationships,
Yeah.
your emotional well-being, and then you have your business and career goals
Yeah.
that provide that sense of purposey, like contributing to the world.
Right. Making a difference.
Exactly. And then you've got your self-improvement goals.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget those.
Can't forget those,
Yeah.
which make sure that you're constantly learning and growing.
Right. Always be learning.
Exactly.
So how do we find that balance, though? Like, how do we actually make it all work?
Right. Because life gets busy.
Life is busy.
Well, remember we talked about that defined, definite purpose?
Yeah, that North Star.
That North Star. It plays a really important role here because once you've identified that,
Right.
those smaller goals in those 3 areas,
Mhm.
they become less like separate things and more like tributaries flowing into a river,
I like that.
all leading toward that ultimate purpose.
So it's about seeing all those areas of our lives working together,
Exactly.
not competing with each other.
And speaking of fulfillment,
Yeah.
there's another powerful tool that Tracy talks about that can help clarify those goals.
Yeah.
It's the 6 months to live exercise.
Oh, yeah, that one's always a little
I mean,
bit.
like, think.
Yeah, it makes you think. Like, if you only had a limited time left.
Right, if you only had 6 months left, what would you do?
Yeah.
It really cuts through all the noise.
And it shows you what's important.
It forces you to think about what really matters.
Yeah.
And to ask yourself, if I only had 6 months left, would I be spending my time on this?
Right. It makes you really evaluate your priorities.
It does.
So you start letting go of the things that maybe aren't serving you
Exactly.
and focus on the things that bring you joy.
And the things that you would regret not doing
Yeah.
if you didn't have much time left.
Like spending time with family
Yes.
or traveling.
Exactly.
It's about aligning your actions with your values, I guess, right?
It is. It's about making the most of the time that we have.
But even when we know what we want,
Mm-hmm.
it can still be scary,
Oh, absolutely.
right? You're putting yourself out there.
There's that fear of rejection.
Yeah. What are people going to think?
What if I fail?
Exactly.
And that's totally natural.
It is.
It's a human response.
Okay.
But this is where Tracy's insights are so helpful.
Okay. How so?
He reminds us that we have the power to choose who we surround ourselves with.
That's a good point.
You know, if we're looking for validation from people
Yeah.
who don't get it.
Who don't support your goals.
Exactly. It's going to make things a lot harder.
Yeah, you're not going to feel very good.
So it's about creating that supportive ecosystem.
With people who believe in you.
Exactly. Even when you doubt yourself.
And sometimes you don't even have to share your goals with everybody.
You don't.
You can keep them to yourself or just share with this select few.
Be selective about who you share your dreams with.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And make sure it's people who are going to lift you up.
That's a good point because not everyone's going to understand
They're not.
your goals.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It is. It's about finding your tribe.
It is. So I really liked what Brian Tracy said about the magic pill concept.
Oh, yes. That's a good one.
What would you do if you couldn't fail?
Right.
It makes you think.
It does. It cuts through all the excuses, all those doubts.
If fear wasn't a factor,
What would you do?
what would you achieve? It's a really good question.
It is.
So as we wrap up this deep dive
Yeah.
into Brian Tracy's work,
His insights are incredible.
I want to leave our listeners with this. What big, bold dream have you been putting off?
Because of fear.
Because of fear, exactly.
Let that question simmer.
Yeah. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? Think about it and see what incredible possibilities come to mind.
I love that.
And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
See you next time.